Gentlemen, XinFin community especially. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chris Neill. I'm the head of American development for XinFin, located in Pennsylvania in the United States. And I have a very rare occasion tonight, a very distinct honor, someone I heavily respect and someone who's an advisor to XinFin. I have the face of Bitcoin Cash, the Bitcoin Jesus, Roger Ver himself, who is an advisor here at XinFin. Roger, I can't tell you how excited I am, but on behalf of XinFin and our community, thanks for spending a bit of, I guess, your morning with me and my evening with you. Thanks for sharing that time with us.
Yeah, thank you too, Chris. Yeah, good evening to you and good morning to me and wherever everyone else is around the world. Hello.
Yeah. So before we rock and roll here, to everyone listening, I want to take a moment and I want to clear Roger. There was an interview where he was asked about XinFin, and he's like, I am an advisor. As far as like some of the developments, I'm not really caught up to date on that. So that's not really Roger's area of advisory. He doesn't do the business development, so don't be alarmed that he's not, up to date on like Ramco.
But I can add to that. So right before we started this recording here, Chris just gave me a nice update of a lot of the things that are going on.
Roger's totally updated, guys. Roger's totally updated. Yeah. So he's here. So this is kind of it's a little bit of a different interview for Roger. Roger normally is just 1,000 questions, Bitcoin Cash, what's hot, what's this, what's that. So this is kind of heavily aimed toward you, the XinFin community. We're going to hear a little bit about Bitcoin Cash, which is strategic questions for me to Roger. And I'm going to leave it at that and not go any further. You'll hear about that later, guys. So Roger, Bitcoin. You started out heavily major advocate for Bitcoin. How did you get into that? Everyone's got their, hey, this is my first coin. Everyone woke up one day and was like, I'm going in on crypto. What happened? Why Bitcoin?
I probably would have to attribute it to the books that I was reading as a teenager in the late 90s. And if I had to pick two, I would have to pick Neil Stephenson's Cryptonomicon, which is a science fiction book where there's a bunch of people going all over the world setting up, data centers and using anonymous cyber cash to pay for it all that can't be tracked or controlled by governments. It was such an exciting book, and so many exciting things are happening because of the invention of this, cyber cash. And then another book that is actually a nonfiction book, but it was called Future Imperfect by David Friedman, the son of Milton Friedman, the Nobel Prize-winning economist. And in that book, he describes public key cryptography and how people can have like anonymous identities on the internet and provide services without having to be tied to their real world identity. And all they need in order to make all this happen was some sort of anonymous digital cash that can work on the internet. And I read about all this in like the late 1990s. And I thought, wow, the world's going to be so exciting when we finally have some, anonymous digital cash for the internet that can't be controlled or censored or tracked. And then I had to wait. I had to wait over a decade. I had to wait. But then finally, when I heard about Bitcoin for the first time, I was like, yes, it's finally here. This anonymous cyber digital cash that I've been reading about in science fiction books, it's finally here. And it's called Bitcoin. And it turned out it wasn't nearly as anonymous as we thought initially in the beginning. But there's some other currencies that have much greater levels of privacy, and some privacy tools are being built on top of Bitcoin Cash at this point as well.
Sure.
And, it felt like the stuff I wrote about in the science fiction books it's finally coming true. So it's still so exciting every day.
No, sure. Okay, that makes sense. That actually makes sense. That's kind of similar to how I got into it, because I have a heavy investment background. I used to do a lot of forex trading, and I still do, just not as much. I'm heavily committed to XinFin. When you get into forex trading and you understand how the banks work, how bonds work, and all that, trade and finance makes sense. But having a management background and the investment background, it's like I see the flaws and I can see where it could improve, and kind of the same thing that you were just talking about with Frieden and all that. Like it really makes sense, like on an individual level. But what if like the freedoms, the absolute control was put in the hands of business owners without government really getting in the way? You know what I mean? So that makes perfect sense. So on that note, then so why XinFin? You only advise a handful, like 5, 6, maybe 7, correct me if I'm wrong, different companies, and you get asked all the time. So why XinFin? At what point were you like, this is where I'm going in?
Yeah, you guys approached me initially, and then we did some background check and due diligence, and looked into you guys, and you guys made the cut. So it seemed like an actual product that was actually going to have something that could potentially go somewhere. So thank you, and congratulations both.
Yeah. So it was... if I could put that into words, and this is for people listening, because so The team, you said when you did the background check, was it the actual experience of the team, or was it the experience of the team plus like, this is like the first of its kind. It's a hybrid blockchain, and they're going all in on trade and finance. Was that any type of influence, or?
So actually, I have a team at Bitcoin.com that actually reviews all the different ICOs and startups and everything that approach us every single day. And my right hand man, Monte Toke,
Yeah.
CEO, was the one who maybe you spoke with him as well. He looked into you guys and he came back and said, "Yeah, this one's okay. This is good."
Yeah, actually, when I was in New York at Consensus, I ran into Mate, and I hope I pronounced that right. I didn't ask him how to pronounce his name.
It's Mate, like he's Australian or something, but he's like Hungarian, and it's pronounced Mate.
Ah, that's,
So it looks like it's Mate, but it's Mate.
that was my second guess and my first guess. No, so I ran into him. I took a quick video with him. Caught him off guard, and he's like, "Oh, hey, this short little white guy. That's cool." All right, cool. So, okay, so my big thing, all right, I love Bitcoin Cash. So what's hot with Bitcoin Cash? And to the XinFin community, you really want to hear this because we ask with strategic intent. So, like, what keeps you up at night with Bitcoin Cash? Is there something going on and you're just like, oh my God, this is so exciting. I should be asleep, but all of a sudden it's 3 o'clock in the morning. What's hot with BCH BCH right now?
Yeah, so I'm so excited about it for the exact same reason I got excited about Bitcoin in 2011 and became the world's first investor in Bitcoin startups, because Bitcoin Cash allows you to send and receive any amount of money with anyone, anywhere in the world instantly, basically for free. And I've been saying that same little speech since 2011. That same speech is still completely true about Bitcoin Cash today. It's no longer true about BTC. And the really frustrating part about it is it's not true about BTC anymore. By the intentions of a lot of these BTC supporters, they mock the idea of using it as money, or mock the idea of using it as cash, even though it's right there in the very title of the original Bitcoin white paper, is a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Well, if it's not usable as a cash system, it's not very exciting or interesting to me. So Bitcoin Cash is really exciting. And for anyone that's on the fence, try using both. See what the fees are on both, and the transaction delays are for both. And it's clear Bitcoin Cash is better money than Bitcoin Core at this point. And
Bitcoin Core.
Yeah, as Warren Buffett would say, be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy. Well, right now, a lot of people seem to be fearful of the future of Bitcoin Cash. Well, now's the best time to buy more.
Right. Okay.
I think the smart money is going to Bitcoin Cash right now because it works as money.
Yeah, actually, so that's kind of interesting. Like earlier in the year with the boom, Bitcoin was a big thing. People around the world all at once were finally being introduced to Bitcoin and the entire world of cryptocurrency, right? And so like Bitcoin was all over the place. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Bitcoin Cash had some volatility, but the level of impact with Bitcoin Cash wasn't as near as the dominance of BTC, and so it's like. It looked as if it provided a level of security as far as when it comes to volatility, especially from an institutional standpoint when they want to protect if they're using something digital, versus fiat. And so the level of volatility wasn't there with Bitcoin Cash as much near at all as it was with Bitcoin. And so there's like this fear with a lot of Bitcoin holders that, let's say 2 years down the road, people are anticipating a huge bump or a huge pump. Whether it comes, I don't know, but there's a huge fear that Bitcoin's now going to become this more of a collector's item, while Bitcoin Cash takes off and is actually just used on a grand level. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
To be fair, I think both have had a lot of volatility. BTC has the Bitcoin name and is viewed as Bitcoin by the public, but it only has the name. It doesn't have any of the characteristics that Bitcoin had from 2009 all the way up until like 2015 or 16. And so the one that has the same characteristics that made Bitcoin popular to begin with is Bitcoin Cash. And so if you look at it, Bitcoin Cash...
The vision behind it all. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Fast, cheap, reliable payments. BTC doesn't have it. BCH does.
Okay. So moving on to the payment side, FuseX. That card, please elaborate. How did that come to be? They just knock on your door one day and go, hey, by the way...
So they were reaching out to me. I was in Korea like a week or two ago. And it's a Korean company, and for people that don't know what FuseX is, it's a debit card that you can use anywhere that accepts Visa, but it'll instantly debit your cryptocurrency at the time you make the sale. So you don't have to convert your cryptocurrency back into fiat in advance. You just do it at the time you actually make the purchase. And so they contacted me wanting me to be an advisor for their group as well. And I thought, of course, there's a huge demand for people want to be able to spend their crypto everywhere, and a really easy way to do that is to plug into the existing credit card network. Now, and I
Sure.
told them, I said, like, if you look at the BTC supporters today out there, they're openly hostile to using BTC as money, whereas Bitcoin Cash transactions are fast, cheap, and reliable in the Bitcoin Cash community, which are basically most of the people that used to, that basically built BTC into what it is today. All of us are, wanting to use Bitcoin Cash as cash. So I told them, you guys should just drop BTC from your platform completely and put BCH in there instead. And I said, and the reason you should do that is because BCH supporters want to use it, and we're going to use your platform. And the BTC supporters, they're going to howl and moan and complain and scream on the internet about it, the fact that you guys dropped them. But they weren't going to use your platform anyhow because they don't actually even spend their BTC. They don't use it as money. They just think it's some magical store of value that can go up if it doesn't have any other use case other than being a store of value, which is absolute, economic fairy tale nonsense stuff. All the people with any understanding of economics have left BTC.
Exactly.
Some of their Bitcoin now, like Bitcoin Cash. And so they thought about it. It didn't take them very long either. They thought about it and they said, Roger, you're right. So they openly put together a big press release and they've dropped BTC from their platform. They've added Bitcoin Cash as the default currency for their FuseX card. And you look for that within this year. We'll have a couple of samples that we'll be using internally at the Bitcoin.com office here probably by the end of this month. And then we'll hopefully be on sale to the entire public maybe in September, October, I think is the time frame for that.
So literally, coffee shops are popular with crypto. So literally at a coffee shop, or if I'm buying something, like if I'm making a purchase for credit card, you know what I mean? I could literally just like a credit card payment.
Another fantastic example of how you can use cryptocurrencies as money is Purse.io. You can save 20% on every single thing you buy from Amazon just by going to Purse.io and using your Bitcoin Cash over there. And that's an example of another business that used to be BTC only. And when the BTC crowd succeeded in making BTC not useful as money, they added Bitcoin Cash across their entire platform. They started paying all of their employees in Bitcoin Cash. It's clear to anybody that wants to use a digital currency as a currency, Bitcoin Cash is where it's at.
Okay. All right. So now Jeju Island. I mean, you were there, was it a week and a half ago, give or take, something like that?
So this is an example of some fake news. So the news media is reporting that I was in Jeju Island.
Oh my God.
I haven't been to Jeju for several years. I was in Seoul, Korea, and the governor of Jeju Island wanted to meet with me. So I had the meeting with the governor of Jeju Island in Seoul. Now you know how the news media can get things.
No, yeah, I'm in America. Let's talk about fake news. Okay, yeah. So on that note, because that's all you hear about now. When I heard about Jeju, I read up on it, like 5 different media platforms, and the substance of the whole story was about the $100 that the governor shouldn't have received. And I was like, forget about that. People are missing the big picture. What was the agenda? What was the takeaway? So please talk about your meeting with the governor.
Yeah, so I met him in Korea, and basically he said he wants to turn all of Jeju Island, which is kind of a somewhat autonomous part of Korea. It's part of Korea, but it has a large degree of autonomy where they can set their own laws and have their own policies there. And he wants to turn the entire island into basically a cryptocurrency, blockchain island.
Okay.
Of course, I'll help you bring Bitcoin Cash to the whole island. We can start using Bitcoin Cash for payments on the whole island, and he was really excited about it. And so I didn't just give him $100 worth of Bitcoin Cash. Everybody in the entire room, $100 worth of Bitcoin Cash, because they didn't have any Bitcoin Cash wallets yet. So I wanted to show them how easy, fast, cheap, and reliable the payments are, and all of them were wow. They said, "Wow, look how amazing and easy this is to use." So, like we said, the news media reported that I was in Jeju Island. I wasn't, but I'm going to go there probably next week or the week after. I'll go there this month and help get the ball rolling with the Bitcoin Cash adoption across the entire island there.
Okay, so now that's got me thinking, right? As a previous investor, now working for financial technology, and whether it's Mac Materials, which we just released a PR about today. They're a company that takes new and used, industrial equipment, sells it to other, manufacturing companies. So whether it's a small coffee shop or an industrial level type operation, so what's the difference and why is Bitcoin Cash so successful on the small and the large? Because we all know Bitcoin Cash has the ability to kind of bridge the gap between the lower and the upper class to anyone who's done any type of research. So what makes it so successful, not only on a smaller scale, but on a massive scale where you're talking about potentially hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars in a single transaction?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's usefulness as money. Bitcoin Cash transactions are fast, cheap, and reliable. BTC transactions are slow, expensive, and unreliable. So if you have two different digital currencies, one's fast, cheap, and reliable, the other's slow, expensive, and unreliable, you don't have to be a rocket scientist or an economist even to figure out which one of those two are going to be used by more people around the world. So.
Sure. Okay. All right.
And for anybody out there that's on the fence, I invite you to go to free.bitcoin.com. We're giving out about 10 cents worth of Bitcoin Cash to anybody out there. So visit free.bitcoin.com and you can see for yourself just how fast, easy, and reliable it is. And on BTC, it's impossible to send somebody 10 cents of BTC. It's not even possible anymore. Whereas on Bitcoin Cash, easy, no problem at all. And you can share it with your friends too.
Okay. So here's a big question. So something like FuseX, where I can literally just swipe my card and walk away. I can do that for, like, if I'm paying off my mortgage, like a monthly payment. I could do that at the gas pump. I could do that at a restaurant. Is there any type of conversion that needs to take place, or does that happen within the card automatically, and therefore Bitcoin Cash is really just something with an extra step? I can use it, but I still have to convert it to fiat to use it. Does the swipe do that automatically?
So with the FuseX card, they will automatically then convert some of your cryptocurrency into whatever the fiat is that they need to pay the merchant. So it's kind of a custodial wallet with FuseX where they hold your crypto for you, but allow you to spend it anywhere that accepts credit cards. Although another really fun thing that we have coming, hopefully within this year for the Bitcoin.com wallet, you'll be able to spend it at just about every single major merchant in the U.S., like Walgreens, Walmart, Safeway, like Home Depot, just about everywhere. And we'll probably be able to give you a 1% discount. It'll plug right into some of the existing point-of-sale terminals that they have in the U.S. So that's coming to the Bitcoin.com wallet for Bitcoin Cash only. And it should be ready within this year is the goal.
Okay, so you have transaction speed, you have the readiness, the quick, and just basically the simplicity of payment on every level, whether it's retail, institutional, even at a government level. And so, to all the XinFin folk listening, those are very strategic questions for some things that we're considering. And I'm not really going to disclose what that is now, but the potential for XinFin in the future is fantastic, and the potential for us in this specific area really kind of breeds even more potential for Bitcoin Cash. And so I'm going to kind of leave it at that, kind of leave that a little cliffhanger for the XinFin community there. So Roger, I told you, I promised I'd keep it short, I'd keep it sweet. Got the chance to fill you in and got a chance to know you a little bit, and I think your passion for Bitcoin Cash is all the more real. Even when we read about it and hearing it here in person, I think it really reflects the authenticity and the genuineness of your passion there. So for the XinFin community listening now, as an advisor to the community, everything you know about that's going on with XinFin now, is there anything you want to say to the XinFin community? Knock yourself out. This is your moment here.
I think I want to say, to everybody. So if you look around the world, the countries with the most economic freedom have the highest rates of economic growth. And the countries with the highest rates of economic growth bring everybody up to a higher standard of living. So get involved with any project that helps bring more economic freedom to the world, because that makes the world a better place. So cryptocurrencies in general and XinFin specifically, get involved, because it's all about bringing more economic freedom to the world. Let's make it happen.
Perfect. So, all right, Roger, man, personally, on behalf of XinFin, on behalf of the XinFin community, man, I really appreciate you taking the first part of your morning over in Japan to hang out with us. And we're going to follow up with you here in the future concerning things with Bitcoin Cash. And this is a great time, because you look around at the rest of the entire crypto community. Doesn't matter if they're trying to build a website, an online mall, retail payments, institutional level, trade and finance, infrastructure, blah, blah, blah. A lot of it's falling away. And one of the things I routinely have a conversation with our XinFin community is that this isn't like a dip in the market. I've been around long enough. I've invested enough. It might partially be a dip, but this is also a point where those who don't really have actual value, those who aren't really gaining traction, because you could have the best technology in the world, if people aren't going to use it, it's worthless. So that being said, coming to a point now where a lot of these companies are falling away, only the strong will survive. Not getting into evolution here, but the same philosophy here. And so we are at the point where the strong cryptos, those who have the strongest technology, and those who are able to be adopted, what we're seeing now is only those who have value are actually sticking around and are being used across the globe, not just in America, Asia Pacific heavily, obviously. And so I think this is a great period for XinFin, especially some of the stuff we have going on. I think it's a great period for Bitcoin Cash. I don't think there's any argument about its wide adoption, even some things that are just you kind of hear through the grapevine, what's actually happening, if you can discern through the fake news. And so I think this is a transition to where the rest are going to fall away, and you're going to have some strong players that stick around. You know what I mean? And so we're happy to have you on board as an advisor and working together in the future. And like I said, buddy, thank you so much for spending part of your morning with us.
My pleasure. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
You too.